love that song. Hey guys, welcome to the third episode of BnA Weekly. This is a weekly. Hey, I uploaded it last week, and now I'm uploading it this week. This is a weekly series I run on my channel where it's basically just a bunch of sports content that I think doesn't really qualify for its own video, but I want to kind of combine into one big video, and you'll see some of these segments throughout the week, but scattered throughout, and you can be like, yeah, I remember I watched that first. So yeah, sit back, enjoy, because I think this is a good episode. We're in a point in the year where sports are kind of starting to wind down, and I can start being a little more creative rather than just reporting what happens. I can do some more fun stuff. So let's just get started. I like to call this best value bets. That's not a tongue twister. I don't know why I try to make it into one. This is where I take this is a weekly series where I take bets or numbers in Vegas. I go into them blindly. I give you a rankings beforehand. I'll tell you how confident I am about certain teams, and then we look at the Vegas odds and we determine the best value bets. So today we're going to start off, this is going to be kind of a two-parter. We're going to start off with the American League, and I'm going to tell you what the best value bets are, not to win the division, but to actually win the pennant. Now, what I look for in this series is basically, okay, they have to have a great manager. You have to have a manager that kind of makes the team gel well together. You had Alex Cora. The year before that, you had Hinch that kind of brought the team together. The manager isn't everything. Next, I would say starting pitching. Starting pitching is really important, especially when it comes to the playoffs, because you need that guy that could just get you innings. You know, the bullpen is going to fatigue a little bit. Not as much as the regular season, but they're going to fatigue a little bit as you go game by game. You don't play every day in the playoffs, I know. But, you know, I think the starting pitching is really important. And next, I would actually rank the bullpen. You have to have a really strong bullpen. You have to have those guys that, you know, shut down. They don't allow rallies. They don't allow your team to lose momentum in the game. And next, I would say bats that don't completely fall apart. You need consistent bats. You can't have a team where the bats just go silent. You can't have that. Like, you've seen it a lot of times. Teams just go, 0 runs, and the next game they score 10. And you have to have a multiple ways of scoring, and plus, momentum always plays into it, but we don't know about the momentum now. And also the ceiling, I guess. So number 5 would be the ceiling. The ceiling of the team has to be really high, and the floor can't be really low, because those bets are, you can lose everything. So first, blindly, I would rank the Houston Astros probably as first. Even though they've struggled a little bit this year, I said that they'd actually not win the division. I think this division is just being begging to be taken by somebody. The Athletics have a chance. Even the Rangers, Seattle has a chance. Even the Angels. This division is begging to be grabbed by somebody, and I think the Houston Astros will get their mojo back. They have consistent hitting. Jose Altuve has developed into a power hitter out of nowhere. Like, he has 10 home runs this year for some reason. You have Carlos Correa, Alex Bregman, Jerry Springer, who's actually a dark horse MVP candidate now. People thought Alex Bregman would be the guy. The only thing I have a question of is their pitching. Their pitching is kind of sunk. They didn't re-sign Dallas Keuchel, but you still have Justin Verlander. I think they also McCullum, I forget who, but so the Houston Astros, their pitching has struggled a little bit. They've had the best farm system, so maybe one of their youth pitchers can come up and really play a big role with this team. They've kind of been lukewarm this year so far, but I think this team is solid going into this year. They have no expectations because, well, they didn't win the World Series last year, so they're not the hunted anymore. So they can fly under the radar a little bit. Next, I would say the Yankees. They've proven now that they can win in a multiple variety of ways. Honestly, I would go with Gary Sanchez. I would almost get rid of him, get a lot of value, get him for a really great pitcher, and get Austin Romine there, because his leadership, his ability to catch. He threw a dart the other day from his knees, pretty much, to gun somebody out at second. This dude's amazing. He's not a liability in the batter's box either. He can hit a 250, but he's not home run or bust. We have too many home run or busts on the Yankees, and yeah, I think that Austin Romine should be the starting catcher for the Yankees. But Gary Sanchez has been heating up recently. The Yankees just need their starting pitching to stay consistent. You have one day J.A. Happ seems like he's the best player, and then all of a sudden he's gone. I don't think we can rely on Herman. We don't have a guy that we can rely on and say he's the guy. Even CeCe sometimes. He's an old pitcher. You know, sometimes some days he has it, some days he doesn't. We need a Justin Verlander on our team. So yeah, and next I wouldn't put the Boston Red Sox here. I'd actually, believe it or not, put the Twins. I mean, the Rays. I have the Twins next actually. So I'd put the Rays here because, well, I don't think last year was a fluke, and this team has built up confidence in each other. You have a coach who's, I think, can instill confidence in this team. They're a little bit young. They're a little, I'm not sure about their ability to perform in the postseason, because they play in a dome all year round. They only see like 2,000 fans every year. I'm really skeptical about this team. I'm really skeptical about Tampa Bay Rays. I think the class of the American League is the Yankees and the Twins, and I don't think the Rays are going to be a good bet to make it to the World Series, because this team could sink or swim. They haven't proven they can do it in the playoffs. They haven't made to the playoffs yet. This can be a Cinderella team, but I'm not sure about the Rays. I said that they have around the low 80s wins this year, but they've exceeded expectations. We'll see. Now they're the hunted. People think they're a legitimate contender, and now they have a target on their back. They haven't won anything yet, but now they have a target. They can't fly under the radar anymore. Last year they flew under the radar a little bit, like the Athletics did, kind of, but now they have a target on their backs. Next, I would rank the Minnesota Twins. And now, why do I have the Twins here? Let's look at their pitching. So you have Jose Barrios, who has a 2.5 ERA. Martin Perez, 2.83. Kyle Gibson, 4.2. Jake Ordor, always messed up how to pronounce it. Odorizzi or something. I really can't pronounce his name. But these guys have shown that they can do it. And plus you have Michael Pineda, who isn't a scrub. I think he hasn't really performed well this year, but I don't think Michael Pineda is a scrub. The Twins have a chance to win this division. And if they win this division, they don't have to deal with that BS wildcard game. And all they need to do is win a 5-game set, a 7-game set, and they're there. If anything, I think this team almost has a better chance than the Rays. Because if you look at their coach, Paul Molitor, Paul Molitor got fired, sorry. Rocco Baldelli. If you look at his career, he's one of those young guys who are analytic. He's an Alex Cora. He's that type of guy. He's not an old guy that's kind of rigid and doesn't relate with the team. He can relate with the team. Aaron Boone for the Yankees, I forgot to mention manager with them. It always seems like, Aaron Boone, I'd rather Joe Girardi. I got an argument with somebody the other day, but honestly, I'd rather Joe Girardi than, Aaron Boone. But that's a different topic that I mentioned in a different video. I'll probably get more into it later. But Rocco Baldelli, he hasn't really done much. He's not really a proven guy. But then again, Alex Cora wasn't. Alex Cora wasn't a proven guy. And if you look up and down this lineup, you have players like Nelson Cruz, who he's been batting pretty great. He's been a star on this team. Max Kepler. If you look down this lineup, there's no guy that's just like, oh yeah, we have to watch out for that guy. It's a bunch of guys that can hit. And that's as long as you have a bunch of guys that are good. Jorge Polanco, like CJ Cron. Not all these guys bat for average. They're not guys that kind of you have guys that bat for average, and then you have home run hitter. I think this is a really balanced lineup for the Twins. I know I mentioned a lot about them, but I think this team could be a dark horse candidate. And next, I have the Boston Red Sox, who kind of underperformed this year. Chris Sale looks like he's getting older. Rodriguez, he's still pitching pretty well, but there's a lot of questions on this team. Steve Pearce, it seems like if they make the playoffs, they can make a run for it. But I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. You have the Tampa Bay Rays and the Yankees, and then the Reds, who are going to be the wild card teams? Well, let's say the Rays. The Yankees don't win the division. So you have the Rays that are probably going to make a wild card. And then other teams, you have the Red Sox, Oakland. There are a lot of teams in this mix. Cleveland, I'm not sure if they're going to miss the playoffs. I wouldn't count out the Rangers. I have concerns about this team. Rafael Devers and Jackie Bradley Jr. have been developing as they thought they would. Andrew Benintendi is way ahead of schedule. But now they're the hunted. And I don't think they can fly under the radar. They're the champions. They have a target on their back. Every single team that plays them is just like, that's their test. Maybe they can get it together towards the end of the season, but I'm not sure. This is where I would draw my Super Bowl bubble line. And then you have some kind of quasi-contenders. You have contenders that aren't as good, but the Athletics, I wouldn't count them out. Great bullpen, underrated hitting. They just need to get their starting pitching better. That's how I would sum up the Athletics. The Rangers, great hitting. I'd question their starting pitching, and I would question their bullpen too. Their hitting they can put up numbers. And if they get hot, I wouldn't count this team out. The Mariners, they're young. They remind me of the Tampa Bay Rays. But I think you have good hitters on the team. D. Gordon. You have some kind of leaders. You have D. Gordon on this team. They have Justice Sheffield, who's going to be an upcoming prospect. This team has a bright future, but I think they're kind of quasi-contenders this year. I can't see them. And I think the rest of them, Baltimore Orioles, Blue Jays, White Sox, Detroit Tigers, Royals, it's going to be a great year. Hopefully, they can exceed 70 wins, and that'll be successful for these teams. But really, I can't see these teams. And then the Angels, I've kind of jumped off that bandwagon. Mike Trout, I thought, along with Shohei Ohtani, maybe Shohei Ohtani can end up being a good player, but I'm not sure. The jury's on Shohei Ohtani right now. He might have won Rookie of the Year, but his health is a major question for this team. They have some youth and some speed on this team, but I also question their starting pitching. So this team is pretty much all over the place, and I don't know what to make of this team. So, yeah, my Super Bowl bubble would probably be Houston, Yankees, Rays, Twins, tight. That's a tight thing. And along with the Red Sox, if they can... I would almost wait on the Red Sox to see how they develop towards the end of the season and try to catch them, get the bet right before they start hitting fire. Once you see them, the ability to galvanize and group as a team, they've shown that over the past week. But yeah, I think the Yankees have proven that they could potentially climb over the hump, but I'd be cautious about the Yankees. And then some dark horse teams that I don't think in the World Series bubble that could be, if they're really good bets, would be... I only would have the Oakland Athletics here. You have Friars, I forget, who threw that no-hitter the other day. And you have some impressive pitching by them. They have a decent bullpen who hasn't performed up to snuff just yet. I wouldn't have the Texas Rangers now that I'm thinking about it, because I think their pitching is such a huge question. They only have a 4-man rotation right now, and it's not like you have A.J. Burnett, CeCe Sabathia, and Andy Pettit. Those are not your 3-4 guys like the Yankees did in 2009. They just let up too many runs for my liking. Seattle Mariners, a little bit too young. You have Felix Hernandez, who's aging. I don't think he's going to be able to... I think he's going to be a liability starting pitcher eventually. And the rest of them, I don't think we need to mention the Royals, Detroit Tigers, anybody else as potential candidates. So, and the Cleveland Indians, their closer now is actually performing really well. I thought... going into the season, their bullpen with the loss of Andrew Miller would suffer, but Brad Hand has pitched really well this year. I just have questions about their starting pitcher. You still have Corey Kluber, who I think is injured, Trevor Bauer, Carlos Carrasco, and Rodriguez. I have the best team, put all your life savings into. Then I have, it's a pretty good bet. Then I have some underrated bets that I think, some sleepers that you could bet on. Then I have some no way Jose. And then I have, this is really good value. I don't think it's going to happen, but kind of if crazier things have happened. And let's go down the scale. So starting off with the Houston Astros, they're 5-2 to make the World Series. I think this is a good bet. I think they have to get a starting pitcher. Dallas Keuchel, maybe bring him back, apologize to him, be on your knees for him or something. I think the Houston Astros, their bats are great. They have a great coach. They're kind of underrated. Houston Astros should be the favorites, and I think this is a pretty good value bet. New York Yankees are 3-1. I still have questions about them. I really do. At 3-1, I don't think this is a good number. This team hasn't proven that they can make it to the World Series. They've overperformed in the playoffs, but they've still shown they can get over the hump of these teams. The Astros, the Red Sox. They've proven that they can't beat them, and that might be the road wall. Next is the Boston Red Sox. I'd wait for this team, see how they develop, see if they can get some rhythm going. It'll be a worse value bet in the future. You're not going to get as high as a return, but I'd wait. I think I have to see it to believe it. If they get on a 10-game win streak and they look good, and their pitching returns, and they prove that, Chris Sale proves he lowers the ERA, he helps himself out a little bit. I'd still be cautious because eventually his arm is going to start to fatigue, but I think this team it's still good. It's still good. Next we have the Tampa Bay Rays at 7-1. I'm lukewarm on this. I don't think it's a good value bet. I don't think the Rays are ready. I think they have a target on their back. They're going to have to play in some cold weather. They're going to have to play some weird conditions. And I don't think this team is ready. I think the team's too young. Next, we have the Twins. The Cleveland Indians. I think it's a horrible bet. I do not want to bet this at all. Horrible pitching, horrible everything. And, Cleveland Indians, definitely a nope for me. Plus, they haven't won in 70 years. So, that's another one going for them. And I don't think this is going to be the year where all of a sudden they put it together. Next, we have the Minnesota Twins. I think it's a great bet, 9-1. You're telling me if I can bet 9-1? You have a young coach who knows all the numbers. He doesn't have that much experience, but recently youth has been an important factor in baseball. Crunch the numbers, tell what management does, and this team's going to fly under the radar a little bit. They have a chance to win division, make it easier for themselves. Like I said, 9-1 is a good bet. And then it kind of leaves my World Series bubble. And then I said the best team that can make it from here on out is the Oakland Athletics. And they're 30-1. I think it's a pretty good value because if you bet $1 and they make it, you get 30. So I think this is a really good bet. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna put my money on the line. That's right. Hopefully I had some intro for this. If not, then that was just a weird pause. But I'm gonna put my money on the line. I'm gonna bet the Oakland Athletics at 1-30. I'm gonna put $5 on it. A $5 bet will get me $150. And also, I'm going to bet the Minnesota Twins, and I'm going to bet the Houston Astros. I'm not going to bet the Houston Astros now. I'm going to, next week, when I do my combination teams, because I'm going to do the National League, then I'm going to do some combinations. I'm going to bet the Houston Astros to make it in a combination possible World Series matchup with the National League team. I think that's going to be a really good value when it happens. So that's why I have the, so I'm going to bet the Twins and the Athletics to make it to the World Series. A really low risk, high reward situations. So if I bet $10 on these two teams, quick crunch math, a $10 bet can get me 90, a $10 bet can get me 50, whatever the numbers are. So yeah, these are my two bets. I'm putting my money on the line. I'm not saying you should, but these are the numbers that I think are playing right now. I think the Minnesota Twins are flying under the radar right now. And yeah, they're starting pitching, everything I mentioned. This team, I'm buying right now. And yeah. Okay guys, so if you didn't know, a couple of days ago I posted a regular channel video called 7 teams with the least optimistic future or something like that. And I listed the 7 teams with the least optimistic future, kind of a demi-downer. But I promised you I'd give you the teams with the most optimistic future, or I'm not sure what I'm going to name this segment. So let's just get into it. So number 7, I have the Bills. If you had to ask them what their perfect draft would be, I think that the draft that they had completely exceeded it. You have a quarterback in Josh Allen that could get things done with his arm and his legs. He's kind of a multifaceted Mitch Trubisky type guy. I don't think he's the smartest guy, but I think he works in the system that they're trying to create down in Buffalo. I think their coach is if you had to say who's the perfect coach for the Buffalo Bills, it's their guy. It's the guy who they have. It's so great how everything in the Bills is working pretty much now. The only thing that's down on them is their history of winning. You have a great linebacking core. Tremaine Edmonds is there, and he's going into his second year, and he can only improve from here. You saw his ability to improve from last year. Matt Milano, Lorenzo Alexander, those guys are going to improve this year, and it's going to be great. Their linebacking core is great. Ed Oliver will help them on the defensive line because they've needed help there. On the defensive line. Jerry Hughes, Trent Murphy, and Harrison Phillips are most likely going to be the starters there. Other than that, a little bit of secondary problems, but their running back core is pretty deep. They have some wide receivers that they have now that could help Josh Allen get rid of the ball a little bit quicker. You have some slot guys that I think they're going to try to use rather than going a little bit downfield. Josh Allen likes going downfield, but I think it's one of the problems that they have. They need a downfield threat. They have a lot of guys that can play slot. They need a Sammy Watkins, a home run hitter. Too bad they got rid of him a couple years ago before they knew that they would get Josh Allen. But whatever. So next on the list, I have I have the Eagles, and I kind of made fun of the Eagles. You know, they should have kept Nick Foles. But I think they're almost in a better position than the Jaguars right now because, one, it seems like the locker room, I think both have locker room problems, but the Jaguars are kind of a little bit more chaotic than the Eagles. I was thinking about having the Jaguars on this list, but the thing is that the Jaguars, I don't, you know, you have your one of your top linebackers, probably the top linebacker, not playing next year. Nick Foles, I'm looking at his weapons and I'm like, I'm not sure anymore. They're gonna have a great defense, I think, but you know, this thing can get out of hand real quick. And I've watched some Nick Foles games, and he isn't the greatest quarterback. He isn't like a guy that can get you 12-4. He's a guy that can get you 9-7 and eke you into the playoffs, and then, you know, just win games. But I'm not sure about this team. This team, I had them in the playoffs a couple weeks ago, and I'm kind of slowly, gradually but surely jumping off that position. I'm jumping off the Jaguars bandwagon. But I'm going to talk to you why the Eagles are going to be or have an optimistic future. You have your quarterback in Carson Wentz. He's Doug Peterson's guy. And now he has a couple years to understand the system, how things work, how to be a leader. He's watched Nick Foles, and I think he's ready. And don't forget, he was 10-2 or 10-1 before he got injured. I forgot the exact record, sorry. But yeah, they were playing pretty well before he got injured. And last year he was playing the best football in his career. He just didn't have the locker room because Nick Foles is there. Nick Foles is gone. You surrounded him with some talent. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside you drafted. Deshaun Jackson, you have a lot of weapons. Jason Peters on the offensive line. I'm not sure if Andre Dillard's going to start, but I think that he's going to be a viable option there. As far as the secondary, didn't really address that. You have Fletcher Cox there. You got rid of Michael Bennett, but we still have a great defensive 7 in the box, but I think that could be improved. Next, we're going to have the Seattle Seahawks. You were in a horrible position. They would be on my 7 least teams, the least optimistic future if it wasn't for the draft and what they've done. They brought in Ezekiel Ansah, which I think was a great move. I said, you know, do a 1-year deal with him. Now that you get rid of Frank Clark, I thought that was like a no-brainer. They did it. Think about Seattle, smart management, great quarterback, and that's what works in this league. I think you paid Russell Wilson just a little bit too much, but it's only for 4 years. You can restructure that in a couple years if his play declines. You can always just pay him more like $25 million per year. If he's on the back nine of his career, you can take a Tom Brady deal, which is good, because by the time all these players develop that they're picking now, they'll be Russell Wilson will be paid less, and yeah, I think they had a decent draft. LJ Collier, not too crazy for it, but I think he's their guy. That's great. They turned 4 picks into 11 by trading Frank Clark and just down, and they had a really good draft. And there's nothing much more to say. I mean, Cam Chancellor and Doug Baldwin are gone now, but I don't think that'll be that big of a loss because they didn't really contribute last year. I don't think Cam Chancellor even played last year. Next, I have the Broncos, and you have Joe Flacco, and then if he doesn't work, you have Drew Lock. It's simple as that. You replace Matt Paradis on the offensive line. You had a really good draft. You traded back and you got a lot of assets. You saw your guy wasn't there. You traded with the Steelers. You have Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, who are a great tandem. And you have Chris Harris Jr., who I think you're gonna have to replace eventually. But I think the Broncos are set up. They could even I think they can challenge for wild card spot this year. I think you just need a few more weapons for Joe Flacco down the field because he has a big arm. Him and Drew Lock, I think, are going to work well together. I think Joe Flacco is going to teach Drew Lock a lot, and they're going to work. And I think they're the perfect court. If you had to pick a perfect landing spot for Drew Lock before the season, it'd be Denver. Kind of that big arm, throw it down the field, and yeah, I would just get a few more weapons for Joe Flacco and Drew Lock. Next, I have the Dolphins, and if you asked me a couple months ago, the same thing with Seattle, I would have said they would probably be on my least optimistic future. I think they were going to be stuck picking Tua next year, and they would have picked Tua next year, and I don't think Tua is going to work. I don't think he's the next Steve Young. Sorry, I haven't seen it yet. At big games, he falls down. Like he's a lesser version of himself, and he plays with Jonah Williams guarding it. Like whatever. So. Miami, Xavier Howard, they're prioritizing guys that think they need to prioritize. You have Brian Flores, a Patriots disciple. They don't really work out that well. And I have a few questions because the Patriots defense wasn't as good as it was in the past couple years when they had Brian Flores, but they still won championships. They still went to the championships. They still needed to get done what they got done. Brian Flores learned under Bill Belichick which guys to recruit. So I think this will work. You have Josh Rosen. You stole him. Now you got him for very little. Next year you already have 10 draft picks. This team is set up for the future. You got Christian Wilkins in the locker room now. Cameron Wake is gone. But, not Cameron Wake, Robert Quinn, that's his name. Yeah, you have a talented secondary. Then you have Minkah Fitzpatrick on the line. You have Kiko Alonso, in that set as a linebacker. This team is, I'm looking at it in a couple years. They have a lot of, just by next year, you'll have 10 draft picks, and then all of a sudden, hey, you're a good team in a few years when these players develop. And you have a mix between youth and talent on this. I think this team is well set up for the future. I would say their offensive line is a little bit of a question, just a little bit. And, so Josh Rosen's shown he can't really perform with a horrible offensive line, but with a decent offensive line, he can make some things happen. And the only thing that concerns me is this offense reminds me a lot of the Cardinals offense last year. And plus you have a defensive-minded head coach. Not sure if it's in a place for Josh Rosen to succeed right away. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick, it would be better if he started off in the beginning of the season to kind of make Josh Rosen work a little harder. Make them figure things out a little bit for him, so there's no pressure on Josh Rosen to succeed when he comes in. Next, I have the Patriots. Okay, they have 11 draft picks this year and 3 draft picks last year, didn't even play. These guys are going to start playing. The Patriots are pretty good at scouting. These guys are going to develop really well. Kind of concerned about the Patriots defensive coordinator, who's that going to be. But it seems like they can always pick good guys. Bill Belichick is always a smart defensive mind, but Tom Brady is a little bit old. But you have Jarrett Stidham in the room that can sit behind for a couple years and learn. And if not, if push comes to shove, I think the Patriots, it's just my confidence in them that they'll just get somebody off the street that's going to be even better than Tom Brady. It's just, we all know it's going to happen. We just got to prepare for it. So the Patriots are set up for the future. You're going to have a lot of youth on this team, which is concerning, but that's what the future is about, and that's what Josh McDaniels is going to inherit when he eventually becomes the head coach. Number 1, I have the Colts. Why do I have the Colts? Well, they have the most cap space this year. They use it smartly by picking up players like Justin Houston in the offseason. And also, in the draft, they kept on trading back and back and back to get more assets. They're not done yet. They still consider themselves a rebuilding team. They don't think they're here yet. Andrew Luck is obviously your quarterback. Then you have Marlon Mack, who really showed out last year as a top running back. Then you still have T.Y. Hilton. You brought in Devin Funchess in the offseason, and you still have like $60 million to spend. People forget about that. They can easily just get an Ndamukong Suh. They have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, and you drafted still 2 offensive linemen just in case. Adam Vinatieri is still not horrible just yet. Like I said, on the defensive line, you got Justin Houston. You can even bring in Ndamukong Suh. Hello, Ndamukong Suh is still available. Pick him up. Come on, Colts. Next, your linebacking core is great. You have Darius Leonard, who's a rookie last year, really showed out. He's only going to improve. Anthony Walker Jr. is there. Your secondary, it's a big concern for this team. I think the secondary is a huge concern. I wish they would have done a little bit more in the draft, but I think they drafted that pretty well. There's nothing much you can do about the secondary. You don't want to force yourself to any picks. You got, I think, Rocky Sin, which is good. That's where the cornerbacks were most value. The fact that they picked up Rocky Sin right after, I'm not sure. But, anyway, let's move on to the next segment. Let me know if you guys agree with this, always in the comment section down below. And, yeah. Okay, welcome to the segment I'd like to call Where Anthony Was Right, Where Anthony Was Wrong, or Where I Was Right, Where I Was Wrong. So there are a lot of things where I'm wrong and right about on a daily basis. I try to stay consistent with my opinions, but I like to leave the bandwagon and join the bandwagon. So I want to talk about the Rockets Warriors. So initially I put a $5 bet a couple months ago and returned for $40. It was a 1 in 8 odds the Rockets had of winning the Western Conference. I said that they had a chance to win. I thought it was a good value bet at the time because they weren't hot just yet and people were still doubting them. But the thing is, that game last night was so weird. Like, the Rockets were just giving up on plays. It didn't seem like they had the energy. This is an elimination game at home. I don't think the fans brought it at all. The fans were just completely dead silent. They would come in bursts. They didn't have the same intensity throughout the game. The Rockets would score and then they'd be like this. It was partially the Rockets. They couldn't really gain a lot of momentum, but still, you have to show up for your team. James Harden just tried to will himself through the game. He tried to do it all by himself. He took like 30 shots and he only got 35, so he's pretty inefficient in that way. Chris Paul was pretty good. But enough of what I was wrong about. What I was right about, somebody yesterday commented on my video that I said the Warriors have a chance to win it all still, even if they don't have Kevin Durant through the entire playoffs. Looks like he's fine, though. Looks like he's going to play for like half the Western Conference Finals, maybe. But we'll see. But I said, they have a chance to close it out tonight. I said they might catch the Rockets sleeping, and that's exactly what happened. The Warriors could still win without Kevin Durant. They're 20-something and 4 without Kevin Durant. It's kind of like the Raptors without Kawhi. The team is just as good because, yesterday I just saw a bunch of ball movement. It really showed the difference between the Rockets and the Warriors. The Warriors were more team ball. They're like, pass it around. But the Rockets were more just selfish. It seemed like Harden just chuck it up. They were too analytic driven. And the Warriors were team driven. They're the team like, we're going to fight. We're going to do what we can. And we're going to do what we do. We're going to, just follow what we do good. And ball movement. You have Steph Curry, who was really cold in the first half. And then I knew, I'm like, just get Steph Curry going. Just get Steph Curry going in the third quarter and you guys will be fine. Klay Thompson went a little bit dry, but he made a couple of clutch shots. And my mouth was open at the end of that game. I'm really excited for the Warriors because it seemed like they're back to basics. They don't have as deep as a bench as they used to have, but that bench really showed up with Livingston and the crew kind of showing up. And it was just really impressive. Steph Curry is in foul trouble, and that bench really lifted them up, which should give them confidence, momentum throughout the rest of the playoffs. So, it's never too early for a 2020 mock draft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start simulating the entire season next year. These aren't my final predictions, but I'm going to simulate game by game, week by week. And as you can see, rolling on, you can see the teams on the bottom. Well, at the bottom, the whole screen. So we have the Bills that start off a little bit strong. You'll see the Patriots edge them out a little bit. The Falcons start the season really strong. They have a weak schedule this year. I think they get some momentum. There's a big question about the team is their secondary. I mean, we'll mention that throughout the year. But Green Bay comes on really strong. And the Jaguars, I'm not really high on, so they fall out of the playoffs. Then the Chiefs barely sneak in as a wild card. But you also have wild cards in the NFC. You have the Bears. And yeah, I can't really sum up the entire season. Of course, I'm going to have my full NFL predictions in about a month or two. But you guys don't want to hear every single team. I talk about them all the time. So now, let's go on and let's figure out my top 10 picks. But before that, I'm going to rearrange them. So here they are. Here are the teams rearranged. 1 through 6 seed for both leagues. You can see them go up really fast. And I'm not looking at the screen, so you're just going to have to watch. And if you're wondering, I while I was there, I just wanted to simulate the playoffs. So here you have it. The Los Angeles Chargers are your 2020 NFL champions, and they're going to be playing in a new stadium next year. Perfect transition to the next season. So now that we have this done, we're going to rank the top 10, well, the bottom 10 teams, because we're only going to do 10. We're not going to do 32. I mean, that would just be a complete waste of time. And we'll obviously see how we do. And let's get into it. So, with the number 1 overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Bengals select Tua Tagovailoa. I think that the Bengals, I don't know how to do that, but I think the Bengals are going to pick Tua. You have a kind of a college-minded head coach now, Zach Taylor. He's from the Rams, but, he's going to want a young quarterback. You have Ryan Finley and Andy Dalton on the roster right now, but I think this might end up kind of like a Giants situation where you draft a quarterback in the 4th round. and then you realize that your quarterback now isn't really that good, so then you end up picking quarterback in the first round. I think that's Tua. Don't think he's the next Steve Young. He hasn't really performed in the brightest spots so far, but I still think he's a viable quarterback, and he can always work on things, and I think he will be the first pick. I don't agree with it. But next, with the second overall pick, the Bucs trade their pick to the Raiders. The Raiders move on from Derek Carr, and they get Justin Herbert, quarterback out of Oregon. I think that this season's going to be kind of rough for the Raiders, and the Raiders are going to be like, you know what, let's just start all over. John Gruden's going to be like, we have a developing defense. We're going to have to pay these guys a little bit soon, but that doesn't really matter. But we're going to get a quarterback for the future. I'm going to get my guy. I'm going to get Justin Herbert, trading with the Bucs because the Bucs need a few more assets, especially. Jason Pierre-Paul's injury doesn't seem as bad as people once thought, but it's still bad. Next, with the third overall pick, the Texans select Chase Young, defensive end. He's from Michigan. We'll see how he does this year because you had a lot of studs on that defensive line last year. Chase Winovich, he wasn't on the line, but you get the point. You had Rashawn Gary. That defensive line, that defense was insane. This year he has a chance to show out, get all the stats that he needs, and I think he will. The Houston Texans have a really strong defensive line, but, Jadeveon Clowney, he might get traded. J.J. Watt's not getting any younger, so I think that they're going to want to solidify this defensive line, and they're going to select Chase Young. I think they should go offensive line here, but they go best player available. Next, the Dolphins select Andrew Thomas, offensive tackle out of Georgia. I think, Andrew Thomas is the best offensive lineman available. He protects Jake Fromm, who's actually the next pick, but spoiler alert, even though you can see it on the screen. But, you need to protect Josh Rosen. This situation for Josh Rosen is very similar, eerily similar to the situation he had last year. But I think the Dolphins stick with him instead of drafting a quarterback. I don't think even if they have the number 1 overall pick, they'll probably trade back. They're not going to draft Tua. I don't think that's going to happen two years in a row, but if it does, that'd be freaking hilarious. Next, I have the Vikings selecting Jake Fromm out of Georgia. Now, why do I have this? Kirk Cousins will be in the last year of his contract. He's going to need kind of a little boost. He's going to need this guy's going to take my job. I need to fight for my contract year this year, especially after a lackluster year. You have a strong defense. Your offensive line is getting a little bit stronger, and Jake Fromm is going to be the heir apparent to Kirk Cousins. Next, we have the Panthers selecting Derek Brown, defensive tackle out of Auburn. I've heard that this guy's just a really big guy. He can make great plays. He's kind of like a Quinn Williams light. He's just a huge guy. He's like Dexter Lawrence. He can make people move, and especially with this, within the SEC, great defensive players have come out of there. So it's Panthers, Derek Brown. They need help on the defensive line, so why not? Next, the Redskins select Bryce Hall out of Virginia, cornerback. The Redskins are going to need help in their secondary. Josh Norman's not getting any younger. You have Landon Collins there that you're paying a lot of money. But you got rid of HaHa Clinton-Dix in the offseason, so you need to help out that secondary a lot. I think the offensive line is good enough. You have enough wide receivers that are going to develop under Dwayne Haskins. You need to help out. You need to help out this defense. You need a legit secondary, and I think that the Redskins will be pretty well off, especially with Dwayne Haskins developing just a little bit. I think Dwayne Haskins can do a pretty good job with the Redskins if he can develop and learn and stay focused. Next, we have the Cardinals selecting Walker Little, offensive tackle out of Stanford. Why do I have this? I think Kyler Murray is going to be running for his life the entire year. You're going to have some blowout games by Arizona that they're going to win by a lot, fool the defenses. And then you're going to have a lot of games where it's just like, what the hell is this? They're going to fall apart, this offense, this defense. So you're going to want to protect Kyler Murray a little bit. I don't really know a lot about scouting and how Walker Little is, but he's the second best offensive tackle on the board, so he goes to the Cardinals. Next, we have the Raiders, who trade their pick to the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers select Jerry Jeudy. How about Jameis Winston? Bruce Arians is going to want to double down in Jameis Winston. That's the only reason why he's coaching. He's not coaching to make Buccaneers champions with a new quarterback. This is going to be a really bad year for the Buccaneers. But they're gonna tank, and they're gonna get a lot for it. The Raiders might even trade their second first-round pick to trade up from 9 to 2. If this happens, you have the 9 pick, and then I think the Bears pick. The Bears aren't gonna do as good, so you have the 9 and the 20, and you can help rebuild this roster a little bit. And yeah, I think if you stick with Jameis Winston, I don't think he's a quarterback of the future, but if you think Winston's your guy, this is the time to do it. And yeah, so next, finally, you have the Giants. They're in the top 10 again. It feels like every single year. It's like, we're never going to pick this high again, but it always seems like that. They select linebacker Dylan Moses out of LSU. No. out of Alabama, sorry. I was like, wait a minute, he's not from LSU. He's one of those Florida kids who went to IMG Academy. He was like a stud. He's like a 5-star recruit, one of the best coming out of high school. So, I mean, the Giants need a linebacker. You have Alec Ogletree, but you have Marcus Golden. I think he could just replace Marcus Golden on that line. When you didn't take Josh Allen, then you knew that, you know, your linebacking core is going to be a little weak. You stuck Ryan Connolly in the draft, but the Giants, I think, picked best linebacker available. Because a lot of the top, offensive tackles are off. There's a lot of wide receiver talent like CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy, but I don't think the Giants will go offense here because you still have Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate signed to those contracts, so I don't think you're that needy at wide receiver, and plus you already have a tight end. And yeah, so I think right now linebackers are your biggest need. You're going to have a great secondary. Defensive line with Dexter Lawrence, yeah, I think the Giants are the linebacker core is going to be a little weak, especially if Alec Ogletree ends up leaving next year too. So get the best linebacker available in the draft and select Dylan Moses. Now, there's some teams obviously I didn't have in the top 10 in this year. Obviously, that can all change. This is really rough, but if I get any of these right in the position or the pick, I mean, you guys owe me a soda or something. But let's move on to the next segment. Okay, now hear me out. You're probably like, Anthony, what are you doing? So in order to get maximize the most points, the only player I really know from this draft, just off the top of my head, is going to be Trevor Lawrence. So I'm going to have him going to the Patriots. Yep, yeah, I know this is unfair. But the Patriots get Trevor. No, kidding. If I had to really guess who gets Trevor Lawrence, I think the Raiders are going to get the quarterback next year. The Vikings are going to get their quarterback next year. If anything, I think the Buccaneers are going to end up getting Trevor Lawrence if that whole Tampa Bay thing doesn't work out. And I can almost see Green Bay kind of, next year if they don't play that well. Maybe in 2 years they don't really play that well. Maybe you get Trevor Lawrence, you start the franchise over again. So if I had to take a bet right now, the Buccaneers and Green Bay, just off the top of my head, no really prior thought. No, not the Panthers, maybe not the Saints. Yeah, eventually I'll keep on naming teams. Eventually I'll get it right? I'll just name through all the teams. But yeah, let's move on to my 2022 mock draft. Now, you may think that this is crazy, Anthony. 2022 mock draft is crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for the best quarterback available. So I'm going to scroll down here just a little bit, and we're going to scan through all the quarterback. Wait, there are no quarterbacks. Well, yeah, this is kind of awkward. And with the number 1 overall pick, the New York Giants trade up to select Anthony Bourdain Jr. the third. Yeah, my son is going to be in the NFL draft in 2048. It's going to be insane. Okay, I'm driving myself crazy. These people aren't even going to be born yet. Let's just, I think it's got a little ahead. Let's just get to the next segment. Alright guys, for this segment, what we're going to do is we're going to review some logos that people have made for concepts in the NFL. I might do it for future leagues and stuff like that. I've done that for baseball so far. But yeah, feel free to click the link in the description to go to this website. And let's just have some fun and fix some logos and see how we can improve these logos. Alright, let's begin with the Texans. Now, I like this logo, but it doesn't scream Texas to me. You know what screams Texas? Let's add like 2 guns or something like that. That's a good start. Now let's add like a lasso. Yeah, then now this is screaming Texas already. Yeah, I think this is missing more guns, so let's add another gun. And then put a cowboy hat on that guy to symbolize Texas and their cowboy nation. And then, yeah, hamburger right in the middle. Yep, this is perfect. Okay, next to 49ers. I like this logo. It's nice, clean, fresh looking. I see the theme that they're trying to go for, but it doesn't really describe them that much. So instead of the 49ers, let's go with the 4 and 12ers. Yeah, that's more accurate to what they've been playing like. The Jets, I like this, the J, but again, it's not really accurate about the Jets. It doesn't really show their whole team. Yep. Yeah, that's perfect. Downhill, there they go. Okay, the Buccaneers. Oh, this is kind of weird. The sword is like in his mouth, but there's like, he doesn't have any hands, so let's just add a hand. Yep, now he has less tension on that sword. And then, what should we put in his other hand? Yep, perfect, an L. And next we have the Cardinals. Man, this guy just looks kind of rough and mean. He has like a tattoo on his neck. So let's get rid of that. And then let's give him like a haircut. Let's give him the Cliff Kingsbury deal. Yep, that's perfect. And he looks so sad. I don't know why. So let's just make a little smiley face. And oh yeah, that's perfect. Look how happy he looks. Next we have the Packers. Now this reminds me of like a chain link fence. For some reason it's kind of like convoluted. So why not? There's Matt LaFleur right behind the prison bars, and yeah, that accurately represents them. Aaron Rodgers has Matt LaFleur in prison, and he's gonna do what he wants. Nice, perfect. Oh, Jaguars, like the 49ers and the Jets, this doesn't really seem like it describes Florida at all. So let's add some rain and a beach, and let's call it a day. I mean, that looks nice. The Jaguars nice and happy. He's playing at the beach. That's fun. Next, we have the Rams. Now, first of all, let's get rid of those letters. LA, like, what do you think you are? Just, yeah, we get the point. You're from LA. And let's add, since you're from LA, let's add a little body to you with some muscles. Yeah, it looks good. Yeah, I think all we need is Sean McVay's hair, and I think oh my God, look at him. Oh, I just fixed your logo. Next we have the Redskins. Wait, what's the time of this video? Oh yeah, we gotta start moving on. The Redskins, let's just go with really bad. Yeah, let's go with that. Vikings, more like L Kings. Am I right? Broncos, the horse looks funny. I don't really know. It's a decent looking logo. The Chargers, why is there a horse? I don't get it. Baltimore Ravens, more like Baltimore Badvins. No? Okay, now let's go to the Falcons. Oh yeah, this logo always looks like a wrench. Oh yeah, at least I didn't blow a 28-3 lead. Oh yeah, that's funny. You're trying to, yeah, nope. Oh yeah, now you're going away. Yeah, we're one of the best historical franchises in this league. Okay, I don't know what that was about, but let's just move on to the Saints. I mean, nothing much has changed with this logo. It's a nice classic Florida lead. Let's just add a little Mardi Gras celebration, because that usually happens after they lose in the playoffs. So, you gotta make them feel a little happy. And it feels like it's missing something. Let's just throw on a mask and let's just call it a day. The Panthers, I don't know why, but this reminds me of something. Yeah, that's right. Pink Panther. Let's go through the editing process, edit a little bit. Let's do some of this. Crop a little bit and enlarge background, and yeah, this is perfect. Look at that. It just be the Pink Panthers. Why not just change your whole coloring scheme? Fix your logo. Next we have the Dolphins. Man, he looks really mad. Kind of like that the Cardinals one. So let's just, we're going to add a tattoo to him. And he looks like, yeah, let's just put laser in his eyes. But what is he shooting at? Yeah, why not? Bill Belichick, And then the Dolphins have Patriots number the past couple years. So why not? Add some lasers to his face. Next we have the Lions. And man, this guy looks ferocious. So yeah, why not? I like it, but let's add some fire to it. Yeah. And let's add a castle. Yeah. So he looks like kind of majestic. He looks like a dragon almost. The lion, I don't know. A little sun in the background. Yeah, this is perfect. The Titans, no. What are you trying to do? The Eagles are the only ones that's supposed to be facing the opposite way. No, we're going to turn you right back around. Yep. We're going to turn you right back around right where you belong. Yeah, nice try, Titans. Next, we have the Colts. Now, this is a really popular logo redesign because it's shaped like a C, so why not? Let's add Colts. Colts with a little exclamation point. Yeah, perfect. Colts. Next we have the Steelers. Now, the Steelers are a little bit lost right now, and this is a nice clean looking logo. I get it. But let's just add a little compass. Yeah, because they got to find where they are. And a compass, I think, will help them find what their true direction is. Maybe help them win a little bit, finally. The Chiefs logo. Man, this is weird. It's also in a different direction, like we saw a different logo earlier. What the Chiefs are reminding me is like KC is like KFC, so it's just like a chicken bucket. Yeah, this is perfect. I like the way it looks, because wait, is that Andy Reid? Oh, hey Andy Reid, how you doing? No, you don't have to hide from me. I know you are. Oh, Andy Reid, what are you doing? Are you okay? Wait, where'd he go? Okay, the Browns, I like this whole bulldog idea that they have. It's the dog pound, because what can you do with the Browns? It doesn't really make sense. But you know what they've been playing like? They've been playing like shit. So let's add a little poop emoji. Yeah, this is perfect. Actually, you know what? They went 7-8-1 last year. So let's add some Odell Beckham Jr. here. They haven't been playing that bad. So yeah, that's good. Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, this logo looks kind of nice. Let's just add some Andy Dalton here because this symbolizes the franchise. They want to stick with him. They want to stick with him as long as possible. And why not change the logo to just him and his hair? Yeah, this is perfect. The Bills logo. Okay, this is nice. This is nice. Kind of modernize it, a little bit more detail. I think this is good. Nice, clean, fresh look. But let's have him jump over something like fire, I guess. Yeah, that looks good. But who would be making the fire? Oh, come on. Next, we have the Giants. I think this is a symbolization of the Giants switching from Eli Manning to Daniel Jones. So let's show that in a picture. Okay, I'm sorry you guys had to see this. Oh, this is actually kind of disturbing. Yeah, I just gave pretty much all of you nightmares. Sorry about that. Okay, we have the Bears. This is a nice looking logo. He looks really passionate. He looks like he wants to fight for something. It's a bear. Nothing more he can do. So let's just hurt the Bears' feelings with this one. Let's add a goalpost with the football, and then remind them that they lost on a last-second field goal and that they should have made. And yeah, but they have a new kicker this year, so it doesn't really matter. The Eagles, man, this guy looks like he's thinking a lot. He looks like he's a wise thinker. So let's make him choose between Nick Foles and Carson Wentz to see which one he chooses. Oh yeah, that just got kind of awkward. Oops. The Cowboys. You know, the Cowboys have this logo kind of reminds me of Tony Romo. Do you know how he's from Duke and he always wanted to brag by wearing that Duke hat and how he's undrafted or whatever? Yeah, we're just gonna take that hat and then make it the complete logo. Yeah, I think that's good. Throw back to Tony Romo. Next, we have the Patriots. This is a pretty nice looking logo, but you know the real logo has like a face to it. So let's add a face. Yeah, I think we should add Tom Brady. Yeah, he looks good. This kind of reminds me of, you know, when like you during Thanksgiving they would make you like line up and take a picture and you had all those the pilgrim hats. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. This is actually hilarious. Next we have the Raiders. Now I don't know what's up with the eye patch. Let's just see what's behind that. See what we can work with. Okay, and now we just gradually move that back and pretend like we never did that. Okay, finally the Seahawks logo. It looks kind of good, but it looks, I don't know, it's not good, not bad, but it's definitely better than that weird new concept logo that they have. This one is creepy. Yeah, this one is really creepy. Yeah, that's it for the logos. Let me know what you guys think about these logo concepts, and yeah, on to the next segment. And welcome to Hooters Hot Take. Make sure to buy your hot spicy wings from Hooters. I don't know. And that's a nice alliteration to it anyway. So my hot take this week, pretty much, I had no idea what I was going to do. And then last night, my dad and I were talking. We're like, you know what? The Giants probably aren't going to do well this year. But my dad's like, yeah, what are their Super Bowl odds? Like 40-1. I'm like, yeah, it's probably around there. Something along the lines of that. You know, bet $1, get 40 back. I was like, maybe 1 in 50, since, you know, we have a rookie QB. We could have gotten Josh Allen. That would have helped their odds a little bit. Then I saw that Vegas is giving us 125, 1 in 125 odds to win the Super Bowl this year. That means if you bet $1, you get 125 back if we win the Super Bowl. Honestly, this is the dumbest. We're given the same odds as the Cincinnati Bengals to win the Super Bowl this year. The Cincinnati Bengals with the new head coach, a quarterback who hasn't done shit, and a horrible defense. It's good. Oh, it's Anthony. It's a good enough. No, it's not. Okay, Joe Mixon as running back. We have Saquon Barkley. Match up every single position on our team, and it's better than the Bengals. And we're given the same, pretty much exact. I might be 150. We're given the same odds as them to win the Super Bowl. Like, I do not understand this at all. We're gonna have one of the deepest secondaries in the league next year. We have a quarterback who, by the way, has proven he can still play in big games. Remember 2 years ago against Green Bay Packers? Before halftime, Eli Manning was throwing darts. And then if the guys aren't catching it, how are you expecting the Giants, to do well? I know you're saying, oh, Anthony, then they got to catch it. Well, we got rid of our locker room problems. We got rid of the problems on our defense with, you know, Landon Collins, Damon Harrison, Eli Apple. We got rid of all the cancers in our locker room. Landon Collins even called it a cancer. Now, this year, we have James Betcher in our defense. He is such a strong defensive mind, comes from strong roots. We have Dave Gettleman, who actually went to 9 Super Bowls before. Not 1, not 2, 9 Super Bowls. So we have experience on this team. That's another check. We have the coaching. Then we also have the quarterback who's done it. He's only getting paid like $15 million this year, so it's not even a lot. Then we have a guy learning under him, and Daniel Jones, who is going to be helpful in the future. He's not helpful for this year. I understand that. We have Damon Harrison up the middle, who many people are afraid of already coming out of this year. He's 345. He's already bigger than half the defensive tackles in the league. He's all ready to start playing. He won a national championship. He knows how to win on the college level, but sure. Then we also have Julian Love. We have Janoris Jenkins, who's probably going to get kicked out. We have Sam Beal. We have a spoil of riches in our secondary. Then we also have Alec Ogletree, a playmaker. Then we also brought in some talent, veteran talent on this team. Marcus Golden, Andre Bethea. Then we also have a mix between Jabril Peppers. This team can start building. I think they'll struggle a little bit in the beginning of the year. But I think this team is going to be able to build camaraderie. People are like, oh, we got rid of Odell Beckham Jr., but how much worse is Golden Tate? How much worse is Golden Tate? When was the last time you saw a team build behind a wide receiver and be successful? I'll wait. I'll seriously wait. I mean, this team is constructed to play really well this year. Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, not to mention Coleman, who's still, I think, a really good player. He made some plays, even though he hasn't really showed out that the way we wanted him to. He's going to have more throws to him this year, and he's going to develop. And not to mention, we got that guy out of Auburn who, even though he has a case of the dropsies, he can be a good kick returner for us. He can make some plays. He potentially can develop into something. Then if you look at our offensive line, maybe we didn't address the right tackle, but we did bring in Adai Ajayi. Chad Wheeler, I don't think is going to be horrible this year, and plus we brought in Kevin Zeitler. We have on left tackle, we have Nate Soldier, who shouldn't be horrible this year. We have Will Hernandez, who's developing into a pretty good piece for us. Then, not to mention our center, this team is not as bad as people think. And if you think about it, what team should be favored in the NFC? Is it the Rams, whose Todd Gurley can't stay healthy and the team relies on running for their offense? Or is it the Saints with Drew Brees, who at the end of the year his arm was a wet noodle? It was a wet noodle. Or is it the Falcons that seem when the expectations are highest, they go low? And by the way, they didn't address their secondary last year. We did. They had. I don't know how they're going to pass defend with some players that haven't even proven themselves yet. Or is it the Cowboys who they're probably going to have locker room problems now? Stephen Jones is begging people to take less. He said, "I want people to take less." What is that going to do to Dak Prescott, who's gotten paid $500,000 over the last couple of years? And what about the Eagles? Carson Wentz hasn't proven anything yet. I said this is one of the teams with the most optimistic futures, but we don't know. We don't know. This team could be begging for Foles. We have no idea. They didn't address their secondary. That was one of their biggest holes. Oh no, they decided to surround Carson Wentz with weapons. What does that mean? What does that tell you? That tells you Carson Wentz is not as good as people may think. It tells him, he needs weapons. He needs an offensive line. We're going to surround him with that talent. I get that's a smart decision, but now Michael Bennett left on defense, and you didn't address your secondary at all, with any picks. And if you look at it, none of these teams should be favored. Is Mitch Trubisky your guy? Towards the end of the season, the last 5 games, you only threw like 4 touchdowns, or in the last 4 games, you only threw 5, something like that. I mean, this offense has become predictable. Is it Matt Nagy? Is it Mitch Trubisky? Like, Matt Nagy can only drop so many plays for this team. They had a pretty good draft. They got in some youth talent, but it's youth talent. Mitch Trubisky is only in his 3rd year. It's not like he's a veteran quarterback that can figure things out. This is a really young team. And with Khalil Mack, this defense is going to be strong again. You brought in Clinton Dix to replace Adrian Amos, but should they be favored, or is it the Green Bay Packers, who don't have an offensive weapon and have an aging Aaron Rodgers, and we don't know what their defense is going to do yet with a rookie head coach and Matt LaFleur who hasn't done anything in this league? So if I look at it, I mean, the Giants are the underdogs now. The Giants are like, nobody cares about us anymore. And I think that this is only going to help the Giants improve and want to win more, even though every single game you want to win. Last year, everyone was telling us to tank, and we actually had a chance to make the playoffs last year. We smelled the playoffs. We know what we could do. We had smells of success, and this team didn't give up. This team did not give up when it was like we were 1-7. They're like, we have some fight in us, and that's something to be commended for. We could have easily been like, okay, first pick, we're gonna pick Kyler Murray, and we're gonna pick the best quarterback available. We got Justin Herbert, and we're gonna tank all the way. No, we didn't do that. We fought until the last game, even though it's kind of upsetting that we lost to Dallas or whatever. It's only shown that we need more problems in defense. So what do? We got Odell Beckham Jr. out of there. and we brought in 3 defensive players, and people think we lost that trade. Now we're not going to be paying a wide receiver $20 million a year, which was foolish to begin with, I know. And we're going to have 3 defensive players, Jabril Peppers, O'Shane Zimenez, and Dexter Lawrence, who they call Big Dexy, which I kind of like that nickname. And this team is going to be really successful in the future. I really don't understand the whole thing with, like, the Giants lost this trade. How are you going to replace the popularity of Odell Beckham Jr.? I'd rather sell tickets by winning than sell tickets by one-handed catches. One-handed catches are great, but do you know what happened with that one-handed catch game by Odell Beckham Jr.? Oh, yeah, we lost that game. We didn't win that game. That wasn't with time expiring. He made that one-handed catch. Oh, what about that game in Green Bay? He had two wide-open dropped catches. What about that game in Carolina? Wide-open drop passes. Odell Beckham Jr., he's not stability. He's out. He's in. He's on Twitter. He's not on Twitter. He's blaming somebody. He's really mentally unstable, and he's not mature. The Giants are a mature franchise. You know, you're 26 already. Grow up. And now, you know, he something in his life changes, and all of a sudden he's like, he's a mess. He's a mess. Grow up, be a man, okay? Grow up and be a man. Look at your hair, okay? Just. I think the Giants are in a good position, and the fact that they're 125-1 odds is a disgrace. The fact that I saw that they have a 10% chance to be the number 1 pick next year with the 4th easiest schedule in the league. The 4th easiest schedule in the league compared to last year, even though some teams might have gotten better or worse. I haven't really checked that out yet. We have the 4th easiest schedule in the league as far as win percentage from last year, and they're giving us a 125-1 chance. And that's my hot take. Let me know what you guys think.
That is blasphemous. That is blasphemous.
Whoa, Anthony, just chill. This is not that important. Sorry. Yeah, that segment got really intense. Sorry about that. But yeah, I only speak the truth. No, just kidding. So what we're gonna do now is for my worst take of the week is not like a commentary's opinion. This is a post I saw on NFL Network. So I'm gonna throw up it on the screen right now. I briefly took a glance at it. But I'm going to rank my top offenses going into 2019 based on coach, history, offensive line, how much better they got, and not really too much of schedule, who they're playing against, because the best offenses are the best offenses. It doesn't really matter who they play. So, yeah, and then we're going to compare it. This could get intense, but number 1, I have the Falcons. You know, upgraded the offensive line. Still have Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu. Running back, some questions. Next, I have the Chargers, aging Phillip Rivers, but still have Mike Williams, some decent wide receivers. Antonio Gates, have a decent offensive line. Melvin Gordon, questions about his health. Pretty much with the Falcons, same thing. They were one of the top offenses last year. The Steelers I have next. They lost Antonio Brown, but they played last season without Le'Veon Bell. It was pretty successful. They could have been a little better, but I think Ben Roethlisberger, he's getting paid a lot of money. It's going to be motivation. They have a good coach. The same thing with the Chargers and Falcons. Decent coach, but not great, not bad. Next, the Chiefs. I have to respect the Chiefs. I know Andy Reid's going to drop some plays. I don't have the Bears on this list because I don't really trust the quarterback as much, and plus with the young wide receivers. But the Chiefs, I have some questions about their offensive line, but Patrick Mahomes should be able to scramble. Kareem Hunt is gone. Tyreek Hill is gone. When Kareem Hunt left last year, they started to struggle. But you still have Travis Kelce. You still have Sammy Watkins. Decent defense. And Andy Reid's a smart coach, so he can figure things out, how to get people open. Next, I have the Colts. People, I think, overrate Andrew Luck. I saw him in the Pro Bowl last year, and he is one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks I've ever seen. Like, just throwing the ball around. If you say, hey, hit that tree, he's not going to be able to hit that tree. You know, he's one of those guys. But, I have to respect Andrew Luck. Reich, forget his name. It's embarrassing. But, I have a decent coach. Frank Reich, there we go. They work well together. Don't really have a lot of weapons. You still have T.Y. Hilton, who's getting a little up there. But you have one of the best offensive lines in the league. And with that, Andrew Luck will be able to find somebody. Mack Wilson is, Marlon Mack. He's a great running back. And, So next I have the Eagles. Carson Wentz is there. Hasn't really proved anything yet. You have a really good offensive line, though. This is about good offenses on paper. And a little bit of my own opinion. But the Eagles, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Deshaun Jackson, Zach Ertz. You have a strong offensive line, Jason Peters. And you got a running back in the offseason, as well as you drafted one out of, I think, Miles Sanders. I think they drafted out of Penn State. And you also have Jordan Howard. Decent. Jordan Howard looked like he was getting a little bit worse as the years went on, but I think he's still good. Then I have the Patriots, who you have to respect them, even though they lost Chris Hogan, Rob Gronkowski, and Danny Amendola the year before that. They always find somebody. You have the coach in Josh McDaniels, who's an offensive guru. And then you have Tom Brady, and the offensive line coach is great, so they should always be successful. You can't disrespect them, because no matter what, they'll throw you into games. Next, I have Green Bay. You have Aaron Rodgers. Don't really have a lot of weapons this year. Randall Cobb is now on the Cowboys, so you don't really have that target that you've always needed. Well, not always needed, but you guys get the point. They went with defense in the draft, which is kind of concerning. Aaron Rodgers, new head coach. But offensive line should keep Aaron Rodgers upright. I think they're going to be pretty good this year. As long as you have Aaron Rodgers, he can make some plays. Next, I have the Giants. Okay, shut up. I have the Giants here. They got rid of... Okay, so I'm going to break it down. They got rid of Odell Beckham Jr. They brought in Golden Tate. Not that big of a drop-off. They also brought in Kevin Zeitler on the offensive line, which will help the right guard position. We're kind of weak on right tackle, I know. But still, this returning players, you're going to either have Daniel Jones or Eli Manning there. They're going to have a lot of time. They're going to develop. And this offense wasn't that bad last year. They ranked around middle of the pack last year. So you're saying they're not going to jump up another 5 points, especially with the opponents. I said I wouldn't mention the opponents, but especially with the opponents. Now you have your second year in this new offensive system. Eli's going to start getting used to it. And yeah, so next, I really couldn't decide. It's either the Buccaneers or the 49ers. I don't really believe in Jameis Winston that much, but I'm looking at these weapons. You have Mike Evans. You have a pretty strong offensive line. You have Brandon Smith at your left tackle, and I'm just looking at it. I'm like, well, they were probably the best offense last year, but was that because of certain other things? Bruce Arians is an offensive guru, and I think he can work with Jameis Winston. We'll see. The running back is kind of concerning position. Doug Martin's not there anymore, but we'll see. I was struggling between them and the 49ers. The 49ers brought in Deebo Samuel, Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not sure about the quarterback position, but you have Kyle Shanahan, who can work. He made Nick Mullins look like Steve Young last year. Not because they didn't really win a lot of games, but he made every single time a quarterback brought in, it's like, who is this guy? And he's actually playing pretty well. I wish the secondary can do a better job at defense, and I wish we had a little more weapons. You have George Kittle, you have Joe Staley, and you have Mike McGlinchey on the offensive line, and I think this could work. So that's my top 10 offenses. Now let's look at what the guy said. Okay, right off the bat, we disagree. Okay, New Orleans Saints, not a top 10 offense. Drew Brees is getting older. I know you could say Taysom Hill comes in, he does a good job. Got rid of Mark Ingram. Who's going to be your running back? Alvin Kamara. He doesn't seem like a running back to me. He seems more of like a fullback. I don't know. He seems more of a guy that just runs out of the backfield and catches rather than a running back. I'm not sure about him. It doesn't seem like he's big enough. Who are their offensive weapons? You did get Eric McCoy as a center in the draft, but really you think he's going to make the difference on the offensive line? I don't think Drew Brees is going to have a lot of time this year. So I think this is a bad take by this guy. Next, we have the Colts. Okay, decent pick, but I just don't like Andrew Luck. Is just not his arm. I don't know. He's just not accurate. People say he's like deathly accurate, but I'm looking at all these like football competitions. It's like, hit that garbage can, but he can't. So I have him ranked high, but not that high. I think the offensive line pulls more Andrew Luck, and Andrew Luck can't really perform during the playoffs. So sorry about that. I mean, I don't think that's such a hot take. I mean, the offense goes dry some games, and it can't do that. Eli Manning sometimes goes dry some games, but that's when the offensive line just doesn't show up. People don't show up. You can't do that. The Philadelphia Eagles, about right. I'm not too sure about Carson Wentz. I'm not too sure about him. I'm not sure, can he win games? I'm not sure. When Nick Foles came in, he won games. Carson Wentz, I'm not sure if he can win the big games yet. He had the chance against the Dallas Cowboys, and he didn't. I'm glad the Dallas Cowboys aren't on this list, actually, now I'm looking down at it. Atlanta Falcons, I have them a little higher. They were the best offense last year. Didn't lose anybody, and I think they're going to want to prove something even more. They even got better from last year, so I don't see how they can fall off that much. Los Angeles Rams, I didn't have them on my list. sorry, just Todd Gurley is just a big question. And then they only scored 3 points in the Super Bowl against the Patriots defense, who let up like 40 points to Miami. I don't trust the Los Angeles Rams offense right now. You have a smart head coach. I think your head coach will work, but I don't know. I don't know about Jared Goff. I don't know about their running game. Their offensive line is going to be worse this year. And yeah, just too many questions. And the Chiefs, yeah, I could see why the big drop off. They were probably the second best, or probably the best, honestly, better than the Atlanta Falcons offense last year. They lost a lot of players. I don't really mind that spot. Then we have the Cleveland Browns. I was tempted to put them there, but they just haven't proved anything yet. They lost Kevin Zeitler offensive line. Is offensive line going to start being a problem now? I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, I don't mind the Cleveland Browns cracking the top 10, maybe 8 or 9. But 7's a little bit too high for me. Los Angeles Chargers, I mean, yeah, I get you can kind of have the same concerns with the Los Angeles Rams as you do them with the offensive line. Not really the offensive line, but I mean like the running back getting injured. You're not sure if he has enough weapons. Kind of old, kind of mixed between the Saints and the Rams type. You have an old quarterback now, not a young guy like Jared Goff. Anthony Lynn, you're not too sure about the coach. I can see why he can drop Los Angeles already down here, but I think they're way better than what they say. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers and Green Bay Packers. Pittsburgh, I think I put them at number 3. This is not necessarily a worst take of the week, but, I thought it'd be more fun to compare, to see my opinions versus another person's opinions. I didn't really have no egregious opinions this week, thank God. Yeah, the Steelers I would put a little bit higher because, then again, they didn't lose much. And they always have a strong offensive line, and it always seems like they can find wide receivers. And Green Bay, I was still kind of concerned about them. I had them 8. But yeah, not that bad. I wouldn't classify this as the worst take of the week, but it's something different. I decided to get things a little more calm than what they were about 10 minutes ago when I was talking about the Giants. Nice and calm segment. Okay, let me talk about this real quick, and this is an unpopular opinion. So when a lot of players and sports commentators, when they're talking about each other and talking about their peers or their best friends, or they go, that guy has God-given ability. And I was thinking the other day, would I love to have God-given ability, or would I rather have worked for it? Now, a lot of people are saying, Anthony, it doesn't really matter. If I'm successful, it doesn't matter. I'm going to get money. But, with humans, it's always about being appreciated. And being appreciated means that you work hard and people reward you for that effort. You get what you feel like you deserve. Some people don't want a lot. Other people want everything. They want all the praise in the world that they can get. Now, with God-given ability, I think that has a little bit of a negative connotation. I don't like when people say, you know what, that guy, Anthony, he just has the ability to do it. And what this does is it demotivates the people trying to do something. So let's say, when you were a kid and there always was that parent that's just like, you know what, why can't you be more like this kid? And I was, I'm not trying to brag, I was... One situation I was in, one of my friend's parents said, you know what, Anthony, why can't my son be more like you? You have all this ability, and I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is when people say that guy has God-given ability. Now it's different. It has a connotation to it where it's just, okay, he doesn't have to work for it. And I'm just demotivated now. I can't do anything about it. And it puts people down, 1. And 2, it makes people who are there on top make you feel like, I'm not working hard. I didn't deserve this. It wasn't within my control. Like, no matter what I did, no matter how hard I worked, how much effort I put in, I would have came out the same. And now you can argue that there's a point, there was a God-given ability to work hard. So that means, hey, you're really not working hard. It's somebody else that gave you the ability to. And that's going into religion and what you believe. And this whole topic's not about that. It's about people working hard for no other purpose than themselves. And to prove to other people what they can do. Now, people have different motivations. Some people want to prove it to their kids, their family, for themselves. Some people just love doing it, and they're not really trying to prove anything. At least they don't feel that way. And having a God-given ability is somewhat, I think, has somewhat of a negative connotation to it. You know, I want to be rewarded by, hey, that guy just worked hard, he put in the effort, and no one but his own inner drive did it. Now, I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to talk about religion, you know, God-given ability. You know, God gives us all our own inner strengths, and it makes some of us more susceptible, and others not so susceptible to the worst, to failures and things like that. But I think at this point, it's all up to just, you know, I'm not somebody to pray and pray and pray and pray, and just say, why me? Why me? I'm the person to say, I can change it myself. I'm not a person to think, oh, this is my destiny. Because what if your destiny is something else? You don't know your true destiny, so why start guessing? You know, why start being, oh, this is just what God wanted. He wanted me to struggle. He wanted me to do this. No, I think, as wrapping it around back to sports, you know, I can pursue whatever I want, and whatever happens, I guess will happen. But no matter what, I'm going to be the cause of it. You know, there's going to be negative forces from the outside. There's going to be things that negatively impact me. There are going to be some things that are unfair. But the only thing I control is within myself. And some people have to realize they can control what they control. And with God-given ability, or, you know, ability given to us by whoever you think your creator is, I think your motivation just be inner. It shouldn't be, you know, this guy gave it to me. It should be, you know what? I have this ability. It's me, myself, and I. And I'm here to prove whoever wants you wrong. It's not about somebody who gave me these powers to. It's about, now that I have those powers, what can I do? And now, if this was confusing, I don't know, but I'm trying something new. I just had this kind of thought. And let me know what you guys think, definitely in the comment section down below.